Hello. This is the 5th episode of the Listening Block. In the previous episode, we reviewed two types of questions, speaker's attitude and speech function questions, which belong to the same category, pragmatic comprehension. In this episode, we will take a look at another question type, rhetorical organization, which belong to the third category, connection and synthesis. Rhetorical organization questions ask you to identify how the lecture is organized, chronological order of events, degree of importance, level of complexity, etc., or that you relate two parts of the lecture, identifying whether they are complementary, contrasting, contradictory, supporting, etc. Let's see some examples of this type of question. Here we go. Question: how does the professor explain the level of complexity of the process presented in the lecture? Answer: by comparing the process to a simpler one used in other regions. Question: how does the professor organize the sequence of the information presented? Answer: from more general to more specific. This type of question can also ask you to identify a change of topic, introduction, conclusion, examples, deviations from the presented subject, or relate the main topic to a complementary one. Rhetorical organization questions are usually worth 1 point each and appear with high frequency, usually around 3 to 6 per test. Check out these other examples of questions about rhetorical organization. In which sequence is the information presented? How does the professor organize the presentation? How is the discussion organized? Why does the professor talk about the downpour? Why does the professor refer to the second study? To answer questions about rhetorical organization, you often need to review your notes, because aspects such as the order in which information is presented may not be evident when listening to the recording. Watch for elements such as examples or comparisons used by the professor, or a comment that is off topic. Here is an example of part of a lecture followed by a rhetorical organization question. Check it out.
To continue on with our unit on endangered plant species, today we are going to be talking about carnivorous plants. Okay, so when you hear the word carnivore and relate it to the plant kingdom, you probably conjure up images from horror movies where the predatory Venus flytrap attacks humans. Am I right? Okay, well, let's put this myth to rest for now. Carnivorous plants do not have the strength or capability for trapping humans, nor for the most part amphibians, birds, or mammals. There is a good reason why carnivorous plants are also referred to as insectivores. 99% of the time, it is insects that provide the nutrients that these plants lack. And that brings us to the definition I know you're all eager to jot down. I am going to put this in point form on the board. A carnivorous plant is one that has 4 key features. It must have the capacity to attract, trap, and kill its prey, as well as being able to absorb its prey's nutrients. Bogs and wetland areas are the most common habitats for carnivorous plants because, unlike most plants, these feed on insects and do not require nitrogen from the soil. In a thin-soiled bog, the nutrient content is low, but the water and sunshine is plentiful. Therefore, the majority of carnivorous plants are also classified as aquatic species. So, we've covered the what and the where, now let's talk about the how. When I say how, I mean how does a plant become a predator? There are 5 basic trapping mechanisms: pitfall, snap, bladder, lobster, and flypaper, and these can be examined quite closely. We are going to touch on the first 2 types today, and you'll read up about the other 3 in your assigned reading tonight. I say the first 2, the pitfall and the snap, but that's not how they fall in your textbook. If you don't have time to read the whole chapter, you'll have to flip back and forth a bit to find the other 3. So, the first on the list is the pitfall trap, which is typical of a pitcher plant. These plants have a flared leaflet at the opening. It is in these areas that insects get trapped. Many pitcher plants contain an intoxicating nectar bribe and a waxy or thorny overhang at the top. This attracts the insect and then makes it too slippery or sharp for them to exit. A pool of digestive enzymes helps the pitcher plant absorb the nutrients from its prey. The second type of trap is the snap trap. This is the trapping mechanism that the Venus flytrap relies on to capture and ingest its prey. These plants have specially designed leaves with a built-in motion detector. Insects are attracted to the sweet nectar on an open leaf. After landing in the sweet spot, tiny mechanisms called trigger hairs are brushed and the leaves snap shut around the insect. It is unknown exactly how the Venus flytrap knows to snap shut, since plants don't have brains. However, it likely due to tension and pressure. Question: how is the lecture organized? A. The professor writes a definition on the board and then breaks it down into 4 parts. B. The professor presents the information after the students have talked in depth about it. C. The professor provides a brief overview and then discusses 2 species in detail. D. The professor follows the order of the unit in the student's textbook. Which alternative would you choose? You can pause the video, consider the possible answers, choose one, and then continue watching to see if you got it right. So let's see. Which one did you choose? C is the correct answer. The professor introduces the topic, defines the type of plants they will be discussing, and then gives examples of plants that illustrate 2 different trapping mechanisms. If you don't identify the correct answer, you can apply the elimination method. Alternative B is the easiest to eliminate because the students do not talk in this recording. Alternative D is incorrect because the professor says that she is not presenting the material in the same order as it is in the textbook. This is what she said. I say the first 2, the pitfall and the snap, but that's not how they fall in your textbook. Alternative A is incorrect because this only refers to the part of the lecture referring to the definition. Remember, you don't need to understand everything to answer these questions, just enough to identify the organization. With practice, you will get very good at it. Watch out for the next episode. We will discuss another type of question used in the TOEFL listening test, content connection questions. See you then.